You would have to go back an awful lot of seasons and a number of clubs to find a transfer window, to find a summer that was as frustrating as that one has just been. To think we're the champions of Europe, we're the fourth best team in the world, reputation-wise. That has not been a good transfer window for us. Hello and welcome to Season 22, Episode 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and forget about season numbers. This season will be known as the Expedition of Gold. We have one more season at Tottenham. Regardless of what happens, we're resigning from Tottenham Hotspur at the end of this season, and we will never manage in England again for the length of this save. We're not going to end the save, but we are going to go abroad. But before we do that, we have seven pieces of gold which we want to acquire. First, number one priority, the Premier League. We'd like to win that. The board are insisting we win it, so if we don't achieve that part of it, we're going to get sacked anyway. We want to win the Champions League again. We won it last year. I've got something of a taste for it. I'd like to win it again. We'd also like to win the UEFA Super Cup. We won that last year. I got something of a taste for it. I'd like to win it again. We want to win the FA Cup this year. I've taste for it. Win again. EFL Cup 3 years in a row now. Really, really like that one. Let's win it for a fourth time. Community Shield we're playing in for the first time. We've got that today. We'd quite like to add that to our collection. And they're not yet showing on here, but presumably we're in it, is the World Club Championship. We'd quite like to win that as well. I'm told it carries a lot of Hall of Fame points. So our priorities for this season, we want to win the league. We want to move old Kev from favoured personnel at least into the icons panel. And if we refer to the Hall of Fame, not only do we want to get me nationality-wise, I think second place is more than doable this season. I don't know how much you get for the league. Or for, potentially if we won everything, if we won all seven, could potentially become the best English manager of all time. But that's not the main priority Hall of Fame-wise, because at the moment we're not in the top 10 for managers in England. We need to break into that top 10 because we're leaving England this season. So we at least want to make our mark on this top 10. And then there's all the other Hall of Fames to try and get into as well. We'd like to get into the top 20. We'd like to get into the top 20 in the world. I mean, it's ridiculous, really, that there's not an English manager in that. Oh, there is. Bob Paisley is the only English manager in that top 20. So if we manage to become the best English manager of all time, we at least make it as far as 18th on the world list, with however many seasons we then have travelling around the rest of the world, continuing the Expedition of Gold. But aside from all that, I mentioned this was a terrible transfer window. It kind of is. The benefits of it are that we've now got a little bit of extra money in the... Okay, we're only £70 million in debt. Our projection has us almost break even by the end of the season and starting to turn a profit. Some of those big money transfers from the first season we arrived at Tottenham, we're not paying for them anymore. The likes of Cotton Eye Joe, he's paid for now. He left 2 seasons ago or a year ago, whenever he left. So we're not shelling out quite so much money each month. So we are going to make a profit this season. We're not going to hit break even by the end of the season. But we have a big pile of transfer budget and wage budget left that we just can't spend. We've got £17 million of a transfer budget, an extra £500,000 a week on our wage budget. We've had to sell an important player. Diego, that's the wrong season. I went back. I'm desperately trying to find a new attacking midfielder. I went back and I looked at Sandy Peterson and Sir Brian just to try and bring somebody in. Diego Ortega basically forced his way out because he was on the transfer list anyway because he wasn't playing regularly enough. And his contract was up at the end of the season. He refused to sign a new one. He got in a hissy fit again when I turned down a bid for him. We've had to let him go to Norwich for £20 million. This lad apparently is now a world-class attacking midfielder. Quite hard to replace. We can't find... not only can we not find an attacking midfield player as good as him for that price, we don't even have that price to spend. We brought in £20 million from Norwich, but because of the financial situation, we only got £6 million of it to add on to our existing £11 million that we were given as Champions League winners. We've also sold one of the youngsters who was never going to break into the team, Shane Randall, 23-year-old right back. He's been out on loan in the Championship for 5 years. He's an established Championship right back. Burnley have got themselves a good player. We've got £2 million that we wouldn't have had otherwise. But the only player we've managed to sign is a youngster, and a 16-year-old English left-back from Blackburn. That's it. That is all we've been able to bring in. We had... Hold on. How do I get this transfer centre? That's what I'm looking for. There was... I can't remember his name. I can't remember who he played for. There was a midfielder who was really, really good. But I don't know how I can find him for you now. We're turning down bids for Ruben Iribarren from Paris Saint-Germain constantly. We're in a bit of a pickle. Because of that, we've promoted some young players again. It seems to be what we're doing every summer now. But it is getting to the point where our bench is starting to fill up with young players. So Francis and Steve May are on the bench. Who on earth is Steve May? I'll tell you who Steve May is. Steve May is a 19-year-old English striker who had a rather good summer at the Under-20s World Cup, where he won the World Cup Under-20 World Cup Golden Ball and a third place in the Golden Shoe for third best player. Last season, he was out on loan at Forest and, 3 goals in 36 appearances. He was playing on the wing for them, didn't start many games. Before that, he's only been playing non-league football. He's coming into our squad because he's our next best striker after the 4 that we've got. Mario Piero, a 22-year-old Spanish player. He's never even played for their under-21s. He's only got 2-star current and potential ability. He's our backup attacking midfielder at the moment because we can't find anyone. And we've still got Joseph Owusu, Nathan Jordan. They're still knocking around in the squad. Things are getting desperate and we don't have the money to spend to fix the problem that we've got. We've still got a month of transfer window left. All is not lost, but looking at that squad, I don't even know where the priority is. I guess we need to bring an attacking midfield player, but A, we've only got £17 million to spend. B, we probably wouldn't want to spend more than that anyway, because whoever comes in isn't going to be playing regularly. It's the problem we had with Ortega. We brought in a world-class attacking midfield player who's never going to get in the team ahead of Oscar. So what we need is another Wagner, but better and younger. We need someone who is a good deputy for Oscar, but can play in this midfield. I looked at re-signing Igor Anicic just to add an extra midfield player and then have Ziyech and Fiorentini and Wagner and Vendrig as backups for Oscar and not actually have a specialist backup and just gamble on Oscar playing all season. But we just need bodies. We've lost another player in Ortega. We've not been able to replace him. We had a tiny, tiny squad last year and it did cost us at certain points. We need players. Or we need these kids to just show me they're brilliant. Burgess will get more games in midfield this year. Wells will get more games up front. Francis is going to have to play games because the right back we had on loan, he's gone back and we haven't replaced him. So Francis is now second choice right back. And he needs to be at his age. He's 20 now. He's worth 11 million quid. He needs games to get better. I got a stroppy message from my assistant manager, Stroppy Lucas, we're going to call him now, saying, look, Liam Wells is stagnating. You need to give him games this year. So I did toy with the idea of selling Vendrig, but then thought, if we sell him for 50 million quid, it's only going to give us 15 million to spend. And we'd be a striker down. I know we want Wells to be in the team, but it's difficult. It's the hardest summer I've had in this save so far in 22 seasons. But we've got the Community Shield today. The Expedition of Gold begins here. And this is the team. Might look quite familiar. Vendrig's injured. It's not a bad one. He's going to be out for a week or so with a sprained ankle. But it does mean we get Wells into the team straight away. So we've got Igor in goal. Finally wearing the number 1 because we've decided we're not looking for a goalkeeper anymore. Igor's our number 1. We've just given him a new 4-year contract. He's the man. The search for a goalkeeper is officially finished. We don't need one. We've got Igor. Back 4 is Ribeiro, Ericsson, Aribi and Ndai. Fiorentini, Sedman and Ziyech are in midfield. Both of these two have signed 1-year contract extensions because we can't afford to let them go. They're 32, both 32 now. We need to replace them sooner or later. That's why Burgess and Wagner are forcing their way into the team, hopefully. Oscar is then in behind Iribarren and Wells. Iribarren might be a problem. He's unhappy because I blocked his transfer to Paris Saint-Germain twice. He's reacted badly to me saying in the media I'm definitely not going to sell him. He's currently tutoring Liam Wells, so I might have 2 grumpies on my hands. And if you remember, the season where Vendrig was rubbish, it's because he wanted to leave the club and he scored 3 goals all year after scoring nearly 50 the year before because he was on the transfer list at his own request. He wanted to leave. That's the power that wanting to leave the club can have. We need to make a decision with Iribarren. If he's not close to double figures in goals by the end of August, we'll accept whatever Paris Saint-Germain offer us, cut our losses, and go with Vendrig and Wells for the season. Which I really don't want to have to do. Let's get into this game. I need to cheer myself up. It's been a very upsetting summer. We're supposed to be European champions. I've not had this tiny transfer budget. I mean, the transfer budget wasn't even this small when we were at Ipswich. I know it's all my own fault, and the board have finally decided they want to fix the finances. But, I don't know, we're breaking even this season. Would it really hurt to be £30 million in debt at the end of this year? It's still far less than we were in debt at the end of last year. I'd gamble a little bit on trying to push on and win the league. We're never going to have a better opportunity to win the league than we would be getting this season. But I'd like an extra 2 or 3 players, proper like Premier League winning quality players, to really allow us to compete on all fronts. I think our first 11 might just be the best team in the world, but 2 of the men in midfield are well into their 30s. There's maybe 3 or 4 first team players as backups, and then it's a bunch of kids. So once you get past that first team, paper thin, and it's going to be a problem. Hopefully not today, because we've got that first team out there. So obviously Vendrig's not playing, but the other 10 you would expect to be starting pretty much week in, week out, and Wells needs game time anyway. So I guess what I might end up doing is making Vendrig sort of job share with Wells, but then also pick up the Ortega role as the backup attacking midfielder, because Vendrig can play there. So he slots in as the rotation with both Oscar and Wells. And then you sort of try and have Oscar, Wells and Vendrig all playing roughly the same amount of games. Iribarren, you just play every single game if he's fit, as before. Burgess is there as a backup for all of them, plus as a backup in midfield for when the 2 old men need to have time out. Wagner can come in when they need to drop out as well. I mean, it potentially might work. It's just, I'd like a couple of extra players. You know me, I like having a few extra players. I always want a couple of extra players. But the midfielder I identified, whose name I can't remember, so I can't show you him. I'll try and find him. I'll continue to try and sign him. I'll go and hunt him out properly when the episode's done. But the fee we agreed for him was £100 million, 30 of it up front, and the other 70 over 4 years. And we couldn't get the 30 million quid together, despite selling Ortega. I tried to sell Medor as well. We had a fee agreed with AC Milan for, I think, £15 million for Medor, but he rejected terms. And then I realised we'd have got like 4 million of that 15 million anyway. So we'd have then been 2 midfielders down, still not able to bring in the replacement that we wanted. And it would have all started to get a little bit messy. So I'm kind of glad that fell through. Although Medor's contract is up at the end of the season, he's refusing to discuss a new one because somebody kept offering him out to clubs. So he's now unhappy. So we might be writing off £50 million there. Right, Burgess and Wagner are coming on for Oscar and Wells. Wagner's going to have to get used. I mean, to be fair, Wagner's been here for, 4 seasons now? He was incredible as an attacking midfielder in Brazil. That's why we signed him. If just to remind you how good he is playing in this position, he's never really played for us. There he is in Brazil playing in behind the strikers. 11 goals, 22 assists. 10 goals, 22 assists. The man is incredible in that position. So maybe he can deputise there every now and again as well. We've got options, definitely. It's just a lot of the options involve having the same player in numerous different positions. Right, let's give Steve May a debut. Bless him. He's just come back from the under-20s. He's never played at our level. And he wants to be a target man. So let's make him a target man. Why not? He's on his debut. We may as well give him a position he's comfortable doing. We should probably drop back to counter-attacking or something, but we're not going to because that's not how we roll. I'm interested to see if Steve May's any good. Ziyech scores a Ziyech special. His name, I don't know if it's upgraded or downgraded. He's no longer considered a world-class midfielder on the information. He's a legendary midfielder now. So is that someone who was world-class but isn't good enough anymore? Or is it just now he's going to go down in history as just an absolute awesome hero? I think it's the second one. But yeah, legendary midfielder Rafał Ziyech. And that should just about wrap up the game for us. May holds the ball up nicely, finds Wagner, and the game ends. And we've comprehensively beaten Champion City there. We need like a ticker or a scoreboard. We now have 1 of the 7 pieces of gold that we would like to win this season. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.